Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Nebraska football has been on a fantastic start with 3 wins to open the season. This coming Friday's game against Illinois will be the first conference game of the year. Head coach Matt Rhule spoke today at a press conference discussing how he plans to direct his team going into conference play.
So, you think about it very simply. Our goal is to go 1-0 every week. Now that we're over with it, though, when you look back on it in hindsight, you want to know in non-conference play, which is what we're supposed to do. Good teams do what they're supposed to do. But now we start the Big Ten, and we're trying to compete to win the Big Ten. That's why we're in it, right? So, all of these games matter. All these games are important, and so this is a great opportunity. It's our first league game, and we didn't certainly approach the preseason like the preseason. But to me, it's just, hey, now we're entering Big Ten play, so our approach doesn't change, but just the gravity of the situation is a little bit different.
We will hear more from head coach Matt Rhule later in the show. Husker Volleyball gained some more recognition of talent earlier today. Sophomore setter Bergen Riley was named the Big Ten Setter of the Week. This is the second time Riley received this award this season and the 6th time in her career so far. This past week, she averaged 12.18 assists per set, 3.45 digs per set, and helped the hitters reach a .315 team hitting percentage. Riley and the rest of the team hit the courts again for a top 5 matchup against number 2 Stanford at 7 p.m. this Wednesday at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Over the weekend, 7 Nebraska wrestlers competed at the Senior World Team Trials in Omaha, with 2 earning their spots on the World Team. Alumni Jordan Burroughs and James Green won their weight classes and will represent the U.S. of A. This will be the 10th time that Burroughs will be on the World Team and the 7th time for Green. The World Championships will be held in Tirana, Albania on October 28th through the 31st. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is the first hour of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
One wide out to the near side. Emmett's the back. Snap back to Rhule. Looking, holding, throws over the middle, down the middle, pass caught. That's going to be a Nebraska touchdown. Isaiah Nair finds the end zone on a pass over the middle. 13-3 Big Red. Tight formation, turn. Toss it off to a little end around by Barney. He's at the 10-5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Jacory Barney slips in there, taking the pitch on the end around from 10 yards out. Nebraska stretches the lead to 20-3. Motion toward the line of scrimmage. Fake the handoff, roll the pocket to the near side. Looking downfield as a man open downfield, but shoots it too high, and it's picked off. Intercepted Malcolm Hartzog. 10 up to the 14-yard line as Malcolm Hartzog now to the 19 as he goes and start the mashed potatoes dance. Huskers get a pick.
Marathon rally early in the 5th. Set behind Barrett. Oh, the dig goes sideways. Boy, Nebraska. Barrett Payson, visibly fatigued, leaps in the air, gives it her all, and the dig gets shanked to the right. It's 5-1 Big Red in the 5th.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
I kind of refer to this as the preseason. In my mind, we're learning how to win. As I told our team, the narrative of losing close games comes from trying to, when you get a lead, not trying to put the game away. And so the questions I get asked a lot are about hey, why aren't you guys doing more of this in the second half? Well, that's what led to a lot of close losses, right? So we want to score, get a lead if we can, play defense, and run the football.
These first 3 games have been great. We played the pass a lot in those first 2, and then you and I came in here and they ran 12 personnel, ran the ball at us, and we needed to see that before we got into Big Ten play. They really came in here with the Big Ten offense mindset, and we needed to see that.
Dillon checking off, 12 on the play clock. Hands extended, gets the snap. Looks middle, looks over the middle, pass fired, it's caught, 5, and that's Nelson into the end zone. Touchdown, Nebraska! Carter Nelson from Ainsworth with his first 6 points as a Cornhusker.
We've been practicing that all week, and the coaches did a really good job explaining me through the play. Dylan saw it pop open, so that was awesome.
Dylan's a real deal. I mean, he's got a great arm, but more importantly, I think he's got a great mind, and he's poised. I think he's a great leader. I think he's going to do really well at Nebraska in the future.
One wide out to the near side. Emmett's the back. Snap back to Rhule. Looking, holding, throws over the middle, down the middle, pass caught. That's going to be a Nebraska touchdown. Isaiah Nair finds the end zone on a pass over the middle. 13-3 Big Red.
Yeah, I think Coach Savage is dialing it up. I mean, he knows his strengths of his players, and he knows what we're good at, and he allows us to capitalize on what we're good at. And I think everyone knows that their turn can be in any play, so they're just trained that way and built different.
Tight formation, turn, toss it off to a little end around by Barney. He's at the 10-5, touchdown Nebraska. Ja'Cory Barney slips in there, taking the pitch on the end around from 10 yards out. Nebraska stretches the lead to 20-3.
Nothing against last year's team, but I think we have a lot more weapons in the backfield, on the outside. And I think the offensive line is playing lights out, so that makes everything easier.
Harburg, snap back, gives it off to Emmett. Picking his way to the outside, gets to the edge, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Nebraska. Motion toward the line of scrimmage, fake the handoff, roll the pocket to the near side, looking downfield as a man open downfield, but shoots it too high, and it's picked off. Intercepted Malcolm Hartzog. 10 up to the 14-yard line as Malcolm Hartzog now to the 19 as he goes and start the mashed potatoes dance. Huskers get a pick.
Just so happy for the older guys, and we know we're not even close to done yet, so that's the exciting part. We get, I think, 9 more opportunities to be together, so we'll make sure we cherish that.
Right now, we just got to rest, recover, get our bodies right, and be prepared tomorrow and get to work. Obviously, it's resets our week, so, I mean, we just got to treat tomorrow like a Monday, and we're going to get to rolling.
And welcome into another Victory Monday, everybody. I'm Jessica Coody. Greg Sharpe does have the night off tonight, but we do have a jam-packed show coming up for you over the next couple of hours. We're going to hear from Coach Rhule, who met with the media today, and preview the Illinois matchup, but also look back at the 34-3 win over UNI as Nebraska wins to 3-0, or moves to 3-0 for the first time since the 2016 season. We're also going to hear from Jordan Larson as a part of this week's episode of The Dig, and Damon Benning, our good friend DB, going to join us in hour number 2. So all that coming up. Stick around. We've got a big-time matchup coming up on Friday night under the lights. We've been talking a lot about this and speculating that it could be a top 25 matchup, and it is indeed a top 25 matchup as Illinois takes care of business last week. They move into the top 25 in the AP poll. They're coming in number 24 in the AP poll. They are just outside of the top 25 in the coaches poll. Huskers move up to number 22 in both the AP poll and the coaches poll. We've had some questions on when was the last time that there was 2 ranked teams playing inside Memorial Stadium. That would be back in 2013, September 14th, 2013. Nebraska was number 23 against number 16 UCLA, but it's the first time since both teams are ranked in the top 25 since 2016, but that was a road game at Ohio State, November 5th, 2016. So should provide for another rockin' atmosphere. Cannot wait for the 400th sellout inside Memorial Stadium. We had a question on the chat from Adam Michael Fellows, asked if there's anything special that's going to be done for the 400th sellout. Yes, from what I'm told, there's going to be several neat things that are going to be happening. We already can see the signage in the stadium that's been put up over the last couple of days. So there's going to be lots of things that are going to be surrounding the 400th consecutive sellout inside Memorial Stadium. So that started back on November 3rd, 1962. And Keith Mann in the game notes today had some fun little tidbits about the 400th sellout. So win number 100 sellout number 100 was a win against Penn State, 42-17 in 1979. Win number 200, 1994, 24-7 over then number 2 Colorado. Win number 300 was back in 2009, 55-0 over Louisiana Lafayette. So in these monumental marquee games and along the sellout streak, the Huskers have won all of those, 100, 200, and 300. So, hey, let's keep it rolling on Friday night for sellout number 400. We'll have more updates, I'm sure, on that throughout the week. I know they're working on a couple of fan pieces from fans that have been at several of these sellout games. And so stay tuned for that. We'll have some content all across the social media platforms on our website as well. So should be a fun celebration all week long. If you want to be a part of tonight's show, hit us up on our text line or give us a call, 402-413-2400. That is our Sports Nightly hotline presented by Woodhouse. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. We'll have to check and see, but I'm pretty sure last year when we were doing the 100 years of Memorial Stadium, that when I chatted with Damon about that win over Colorado, I'm pretty sure that was sellout. He was a part of that 200, so he played in that game. So we'll have to chat with him about that coming up here in hour number 2. We have lots to get to, so we're going to go ahead and get to our first break so we can hear from Coach Rhule and his press conference. So keep it here on Sports Nightly. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska honors Nebraska's outstanding teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator at huskers.com/touchdowns for teachers. We're back with the head coach coming up after this.
Hey Husker fans, Coach Rhule here, thanking you for your incredible support of Nebraska football. We're working every day to bring championship football back to Nebraska. Just as important is your contribution to 1890 Nebraska, the official NIL collective of Husker Athletics. Every contribution, no matter how small, makes a big impact. Your support helps us recruit and retain top talent, bringing a winning program that can compete at the highest level. Visit 1890nebraska.com or text NEBNIL to 801-801 now.
Woodhouse has been your premier destination for your automotive needs since 1975. Whether you're looking to purchase a new vehicle, sell your current one, or looking to service, our team ensures a convenient and seamless transaction from start to finish. Explore our wide selection of top brands and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with our team's dedication and decades of trusted service. Get started online at woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
Husker fans, visit a participating AGCO dealer now until November 1st and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets and pregame hospitality passes to the Nebraska versus Wisconsin football game on November 23rd in Lincoln. See your True Turf and Ag locations in Osmond, Columbus, and Falls City, Osceola Implement, and Kearney Equipment to enter for your chance to win this season.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Life doesn't come with guarantees, but working with Rob Seco comes pretty close. Our strategic investments in the seed we offer are designed to directly improve your bottom line. From full trait platforms, breeding and development, to field-by-field planning and seed-driven crop inputs, with Rob Seco, you have precisely what you need to improve plant performance and increase yield. Every farm, every crop, and every acre. Learn more at robseco.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump
and save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
I got to see my brother get married.
I
would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of this special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Woodhouse has been your premier destination for your automotive needs since 1975. Whether you're looking to purchase a new vehicle, sell your current one, or looking to service, our team ensures a convenient and seamless transaction from start to finish. Explore our wide selection of top brands and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with our team's dedication and decades of trusted service. Get started online at woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
Get ready again for some Nebraska farm facts. When there's work to be done, Nebraska soybeans are on the job in many of your everyday products. In fact, Nebraska soybeans are hard at work in Goodyear tires, Ford cars and trucks, Skechers shoes, asphalt, fuels, lubricants, name brand paints and stains, and more. Soybeans are an innovative replacement for petroleum, leading to more sustainable products all over the world. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Life doesn't come with guarantees, but working with Rob Seco comes pretty close. Our strategic investments in the seed we offer are designed to directly improve your bottom line. From full trait platforms, breeding and development, to field-by-field planning and seed-driven crop inputs, with Rob Seco, you have precisely what you need to improve plant performance and increase yield. Every farm, every crop, and every acre. Learn more at robseco.com.
Sports Nightly is brought to you by Choices Treatment Center. If you or someone you know is struggling with problem gambling, free treatment is available in Nebraska. Call Choices 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300 for more information. Offices in Lincoln and Columbus. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody. Greg Sharpe has the night off tonight. So Coach Rhule met with the media today, as he does on Mondays following games. And a couple of the notable news nuggets that came out. He was asked about a couple of the players, big-time player starters that did not play on Saturday, starting with Jamari Butler. He said that Jamari will be good to go on Friday and that he could have played this past weekend on Saturday, but they just were able to hold him out, let him get fully healthy, get him healthier. And he liked the play out of Cam Linhart and Kai Wallen. That's the beauty of that defensive line. They've got lots of depth there, so they could do that with Jamari. Jamari was great on the sidelines. I love watching him interact with the team, and even when things were not going as planned, some of the series, he was very much active and involved. He's a great leader for this group, so they were able to hold him out and be cautious with him, but he should be good to go on Friday. The other notable news nugget in terms of availability, Micah Mazuka starting right guard. He was not out there on Saturday, did not suit up, so Henry Lutoski started in place of Mazuka at right guard, and a coach had said that he's still on the team. He's working through some things, but will not be available again on Friday. So Henry Lutoski is scheduled to start again coming up on Friday. So on that note, Coach Rhule was asked about the offensive line play and how he's felt like they've played through 3 games of the season.
We don't know anything about really those guys until we play in the Big Ten. They've done a really good job versus who we played against. There's always the areas that we're always trying to work at, but this will be such a different challenge facing these guys. The pass, they have huge guys inside. They have excellent pass rushers on the outside, 9, 17, 3. Now they're playing 17 and 3 together. This is, they create 5 one-on-ones, so everyone's got to win. If one guy loses, you struggle. So, but yeah, I've been pleased with our offensive line. I think they've done a really nice job. I think anytime you don't punt in a game, you probably feel pretty good. So I felt pretty good about what we did on Saturday offensively. But that was all preseason to me. Now the season starts. It's the first game for us in the Big Ten, and we'll find out where we are.
One of the things that I noticed on Saturday on the sideline, we hear so much about the standard on defense and, those guys holding themselves to a really high standard. The same can be said for Coach Rhule and the standard that he holds the offensive line to. I mean, there were a couple times even after scoring drives that he was getting on his guys and challenging them. So, I know he expects a lot out of those guys, and they'll continue to hopefully get better and grow, and they got a big test coming up on Friday. So moving along, one of the other things we wanted to get to today, Coach Rhule was asked about the 400th sellout. Here's his response to that.
I certainly understand the gravity of it. I think the one thing that's really easy for me and great for me to explain to recruits, the first thing we do when recruits show up here on their official visit is we don't go do some fancy thing. We take a picture with them, and then we walk them right out into the field. And we show them, hey, here's the number of sellouts in a row, and here's the All-Americans. And then we talk about the field and how our hope someday is that they win a championship on that field, but also that they graduate on that field. And how the University of Nebraska is not a football factory. It's a place of development, and that's a proof of it, that you can sell out for 400 straight games and you can lead the country in academic All-Americans. Now they've changed some of the parameters and they're giving some away to other people, but we've been the leader in that for a long time. So it's just a perfect blend of everything, right? And it's what drew me here. It's what draws other people here. So I think getting to 400 will be great. My job, though, is to make sure that we win that game so that people leave happy about it, not anything else. So I'm just trying to stick to football.
On that note about recruits and taking them out there, it's really neat to see how the staff interacts and how they go about escorting the recruits on the field. And then I get a chance to kind of walk by them and the parents and the families and see them taking it all in. And it's pretty neat to see how in awe they are of the atmosphere, especially last week against Colorado. But I think, again, the more that this thing continues to build and the louder that fan bases are, but we hear that all the time about recruits, that it sells them. And a lot of the coaches say, no matter the sport, if you can get them here, it's hard for them to say no to Nebraska. But it's neat to see their reactions when they walk out onto the field for the first time and they're standing on the sideline taking it all in. Absolutely, you can tell they are certainly in awe of the atmosphere. So next up, Coach Rhule was talking about Riley Van Poppel, and he had a quote about Kai Wallen, and the Kai Wallen was a guy that redshirted last year and was able to get bigger, stronger, faster, and so he had talked about how you could tell the difference now, and that his family trusted them, and they fully bought into letting Kai sit out and redshirt even though he was playing at a high level, but hey, let's give it a year. And so now they're seeing the fruits of that. So on that note, Riley Van Poppel is another guy that they're talking about redshirting. Now you do have the 4-game rule, so you could play 4 games at any point during the season, and so he will get a chance to get out there. But here's a guy that in 2023 as a true freshman played in 11 games and contributed a lot. And so Coach Rhule was asked, when a guy like Riley Van Poppel who played so much as a true freshman, how do you communicate and go through the process of having that conversation with a guy like that to redshirt?
You can play 8 plays to 10 plays a game this year, or you can be Ty Robinson and those guys when they leave. And so that's a decision they make. Again, it's a credit to Riley. It's a credit to his family. And Riley was joking with me yesterday. He was like, hey, when they went down the field on that first drive, I was waiting for you to say, forget it, get in there. But I just think it's trust, right? In an era where I go to a lot of meetings, you hear a lot of coaches say, like, these kids are going to transfer anyway, play them. Just because the system's changed doesn't mean a coach should change. Coaches are here. We're here to do what's right for the players. And so, Riley can certainly help us. We have other guys we think can help us, and we think Sue is going to come back and be healthy here soon. And we're going to, if we can, and we have 2 more games with Riley. So, but I think Riley's going to be a great, great, great player here. And I think this year, because he stepped in for us last year, this year of development, he's on the scout team now. Just think of how much better our scout team is when we're out there today and we're having to block him. And then we got Brody Tagaloa back. I should make sure. And so happy for Brody, for him to get on the field this past Saturday. Was such a monumental thing. I've watched him. I've watched him in the weight room in the mornings at 6 a.m. for the last 2 years. And I think back to when he got hurt. His dad and mom coming in, and his dad saying to him, sometimes in life you have to embrace the delay. And I wrote that down. I said, what a beautiful thing. And Brody's just grown in the interim. So we have some guys back now, Sam, that allow us maybe with Riley.
Love that take from Coach Rhule. And, just with the defensive line room, we heard Coach Dighton talking about this back in the summer when he was previewing the position group about, we've got probably 9, 10 starters in the room that most guys would be starting anywhere else. But you have those conversations, but the way that this group is bought in and they believe and understand that, hey, my time will come. And even guys like Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker have said how fresh that allows them to be when they don't have to worry about playing every single snap. And then it gives you the opportunity with like a guy like Jamari Butler. You can sit him in a game and let him get fully healthy. And so it's certainly a luxury to have. I pulled up the stats for the season stats, and from my calculations, I can see that 9 different defensive linemen recorded tackles. So there's been a lot of guys that they've been able to run in there and even get some reps with some of the 2s and 3s late in the games and get some of that game experience. So it's definitely a luxury in that defensive line room. It's a embarrassment of riches, I guess. Is that the saying? But it's a good thing for the Huskers to have that much depth, and that you can have a guy like Riley Van Poppel that sits back and gets better and also plays on scout team and makes you better in that regard. So in terms of the matchup this Friday against Illinois, Coach Rhule was first of all asked about the physicality and how he likes the physicality of this football team. It's almost in every single interview that I do, I hear a player say we want to be the most physical football team in college football. So he was asked about that, and he said, well, we're going to see how physical we really are this Friday against another really physical football team. But he was specifically asked about Illinois and how the defensive backs like Tommy Hill are going to match up against the playmakers that Illinois has. Here's his answer to that.
You look at their offense, right? I mean, they're a big power running game with a mobile quarterback. And mobile quarterbacks have bothered us. Okay, mobile quarterbacks have bothered us. But they have 2 explosive receivers on the outside, right? So whether it's Bryant, whether it's Franklin, like they can attack you, and they do a good job of, they try to stress you by putting them both out here. So you either have to play a one-on-one to stop the run, or you have to double them, play cover 2 or quarters or something like we did against Colorado, and now they can run the football with a 250-pound back. And their other backs got in there this week, and they all ran the ball well. So very well put together with how they're doing it. Those guys, one thing about them is they've thrown the deep ball. They have more explosive plays than we have. I mean, they're throwing the deep ball, getting one-on-one coverage, not afraid to put it up. And they have great catch radiuses. They can hold off a defender and go up and catch the football. So luckily with Tommy's 205 pounds. He's not a little corner. Right, and I think Buford's been playing really, really, really well. And Buford can play corner. He played the dime versus Colorado. He's very versatile. And then, Jeremiah and Amari can play as well. So that'll be one of the main one of the main matchup issues in this game is how well we do versus those 2 receivers when we choose to play a run front. Can we win the one-on-ones? How well we do with the quarterback containing him. You saw UNI was using the zone read and all that, and they can do that. With the quarterback, they can also, the Wisconsin last year, drop back, quarterback draw, which they do. So it's our front stopping the quarterback, and then, again, the power run game. And, if we give up 180 yards after contact, we won't win the game.
All right, last thing from Coach Rhule from today we're going to play for you here on the show tonight is just managing the short week. What's the plan for the team this week with the quicker turnaround and a Friday night game?
I take maybe a different approach than a lot of people. I keep like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't move it up a day. A lot of people move it up a day, but we do come in on Sunday. So on Sunday we came in, we cleaned up the practice film, we cleaned up the game film, because there was a lot to learn from that game. So we didn't move ahead. We sat there and did all that. We got our lifts in like we would normally do on Monday, Mitch, and then we walked through Illinois. We got ahead, but today we came out. Today's a Monday for us, and so we'll do Tuesday, we'll do Wednesday. Then, like our normal Thursday practice will be a walkthrough, but we also walk through on Friday, just like we would have on a Saturday. So we don't overdo it. We don't move it up too far forward. And to your point, I got a text from Dylan Saturday morning. This is what I need to improve upon. Like, he's very good about illustrating that for himself, so he can get better. He takes great ownership of his things, and most of our guys, I think, do a great job. They've watched the tape before we watch it with them. And that's a cultural thing that we have here that guys have had instilled in them.
One of the other things that I was really took away from Coach Rhule's meeting with the media today, and he had said it, I think, in the TV show today as well, but, he was talking about the defense and how, they go in at halftime, and he had actually said this in our halftime interview on Saturday as well, that, despite only allowing the field goal, that there's a certain standard and that the defense wasn't playing up to that standard. And, so it really bothered guys that they weren't tackling as good as they had been. And he said, the yards after contact had been in the 80s the first 2 games. And on Saturday it was over 180. So it's 100 yards more. And he said the guys were not happy about that. And he said it's great that it bothers them because you're to the point where you're not just happy to win. You want to play to a standard. You also want to play to that standard that you expect. And so love to hear that out of the guys. And you could tell, when I chatted with Isaac Gifford and after the game, he said, "Hey, we got a standard and we gotta live up to that standard." And it's, even though the scoreboard says 3 points, there's a lot of things we got to get better at if we want to be the football team we want to be. So love to hear that out of these guys. We got to work at a break here on Sports Nightly. Public power is uniquely Nebraskan. We are the only state served entirely by public power utilities. We work for you, providing reliable, affordable electricity to power your lives. Public power, powering our state, empowering Husker Nation. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Jordan Larson as a part of this week's episode of The Dig.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Akrs Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Akrs Equipment, solutions for every field.
Tune in to the 12th annual Team Jack Radiothon presented by the Home Agency on September 26 to raise funds for childhood brain cancer research. Childhood brain cancer is a devastating disease affecting 5,000 children each year. Current treatments are over 40 years old and leave children with lifelong deficits. Team Jack is working to change this. Become a champion for a cure for just $20 a month. Every dollar counts towards discovering new treatments and ultimately saving young lives. Visit teamjackfoundation.org to donate. Your contribution matters more than ever.
Life doesn't come with guarantees, but working with Rob Seco comes pretty close. Our strategic investments in the seed we offer are designed to directly improve your bottom line. From full trait platforms, breeding and development, to field-by-field planning and seed-driven crop inputs, with Rob Seco, you have precisely what you need to improve plant performance and increase yield. Every farm, every crop, and every acre. Learn more at robseco.com.
Pickup truck, sports car, motorcycle, minivan, townhouse, two-story, farmhouse, fixer-upper. What you drive and where you live is different for everyone, so it's important to have insurance that fits your needs and is just right for you. At Shelter Insurance, we understand that, which is why our agents help you design a comprehensive auto, home, and life insurance plan. Insurance that fits just right.
See Shelter Agent Mike Shepard or Craig Kerr in Lincoln, or Agent Jeff Martinez in Omaha today.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
The all-new 2025 Subaru Forester is the same trusted SUV it's always been, only more so. More distinctive style, more advanced safety technology, and always the confidence of standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. The all-new 2025 Subaru Forester. Love begins with trust. Visit Duteau Subaru at 27th Street and Jamie Lane in Lincoln or at duteausubaru.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Live reports of polar bear on the loose. Man, is it cold enough for a polar bear in here?
Yes, we use SOS. Come on in.
SOS to the rescue! Nebraska defensive lineman Matt Rhule here. People know me as the polar bear, and when I want to stay cool, I call SOS. Their techs don't make commissions, so they give you an honest opinion, fair pricing, and longer warranties than the competition, guaranteed. Mention the polar bear and get a free 10-year labor warranty on new York equipment. The best warranty you have.
Call 402-391-2336.
This fall, be ready for every tailgate, touchdown, and adventure in a perfect car, truck, or SUV from Sid Dillon Chevrolet. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo and shop Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group. We're also your Chevrolet Business Elite dealer, offering medium-duty trucks and low-cab forwards. Visit us at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Tune in to the 12th annual Team Jack Radiothon presented by the Home Agency on September 26 to raise funds for childhood brain cancer research. Childhood brain cancer is a devastating disease affecting 5,000 children each year. Current treatments are over 40 years old and leave children with lifelong deficits. Team Jack is working to change this. Become a champion for a cure for just $20 a month. Every dollar counts towards discovering new treatments and ultimately saving young lives. Visit TeamJackFoundation.org to donate. Your contribution matters more than ever.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. It's a big week ahead for Nebraska volleyball. They've got 2 top 5 teams on the schedule ahead. Wednesday, #2 Stanford, and then Sunday, #4 Louisville. They also had a great week last week, going 3-0, played some really great volleyball, especially over the weekend. So got a chance to chat to Jordan Larson, assistant coach, about all of that as a part of this week's episode of The Dig. Here's a portion of that for you here tonight. Welcome back into another episode of The Dig. I'm Jessica Coody, and this week joined in studio by assistant coach Jordan Larson for the first time this season. Thanks so much. Great to have you back in studio.
Yeah, excited to be back.
What a week for you guys. Played some great volleyball. How did you guys evaluate how the team did over the 3 matches against Creighton and Arizona State and Wichita State?
Yeah, it was a full week. It feels like this preseason has been going on forever, but just really proud of our girls. We've had some resiliency through the week. Obviously, Creighton was great, a great match, and I thought that we came back against ASU and just really started out strong, and then obviously finished out with Wichita State, which was a just all-around great match for us.
Coach Cook had talked about after the Arizona State game, that was probably the best serving team that you guys have faced so far, and that felt like the team did a really good job with that. How does that change? I guess, how do you go about being good against the serve? Is it more of a focus thing on the game plan? How does that improve like that?
Yeah, I think it's just we are already a pretty good receiving team, so I think just a little more attention to detail, and I think the more dialed in, we're always pretty dialed, but I think the more dialed in of like, hey, this team, has pretty high serving percentages, so can we be a little more aware of that going into this match? But in general, I think we handle ourselves. But at this level, it's hard to be consistent, over the season. So I'm just really proud of them for kind of resetting and coming in and doing a good job of that.
When you prepare for someone that's got really good servers, is it you watch a lot of film, try to get tendencies, and I guess how do you go about preparing for that?
Yeah, we're lucky that we have a lot of helping hands in practice, and so we try to imitate kind of what's going to be coming at us and try and get them to see it as much as they can. And we sprinkle in some video there, but sometimes just seeing it live is much better, and it translates a lot better.
Absolutely. So then, Lauren and JB were talking on the broadcast. Like, the Wichita State game could maybe be a trap game with everything going on and bouncing back. But man, you got to be pleased with how the team came out and was focused against Wichita State.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you never know. And after 3 matches in 1 week too, it's hard to kind of get yourself emotionally up to that level. And so I thought we did a really good job coming out strong. And we had a few changes in lineup as well. So I think kudos to our team for just finding a way, no matter who's out there, and I think it's important to have those situations as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. Just with so much depth and never knowing when your number might get called. You've been on teams, I'm sure that are loaded with talent. As a player, how do you stay ready for that and kind of stay in a rhythm as a team? Yeah, it's hard, and I think, like you said, but I think that's one of the coolest things about coming here is like you're competing against the best every day, and if you want to have a long career, like you got to do that your whole career. So you get used to understanding what that is and how can you be comfortable being uncomfortable, because there's not a day in our gym that's exactly comfortable. So, and I think just having that mindset going into games as well is just you never know. And some teams require different things and different assets, and we're lucky that we have a lot of depth to do that. But as a player, it's hard, and I think just constantly preaching that, like, I don't know, I think Coach Cook's term is like you're renting the starting place, like it's just, you never know. And you've seen a lot of stories too where there's been a lot of great players that have been in certain roles and then have turned it around, and you just never know how the season can end. So not just, personally, but what does that say about the team too, that, with Bergen working with different setter or different hitters and just the different rotations that you guys could keep the chemistry going even despite the changes in the lineup? Yeah, it is hard, and I think just the more we can, I don't know, we talk about front loading, the more we can talk about it, the more we get it out in the open, the better it is, and the more clarity we try to provide. But at the end of the day, it's like no matter what stimulus or what option is coming at us, can we still be comfortable in finding comfort in that? And so it's hard, but I think the more we talk about it, the more it becomes normal, and you just get comfortable in that situation. How much of a luxury is it when you have the kind of week that you had last week to have so many people you can call on and not miss a beat? Yeah, it's a fantastic asset for sure, and very lucky in that. But I think it's also a trap that you could fall down to. It's like chemistry, and like how do you define chemistry and what does that look like? And I think it's just being really sensitive to that in all teams. And I think one of the greatest things about being here is having a healthy culture, and if someone has, things they need to talk about, like having open door policy and just consistently being attentive to those situations, because for me, it's 60% of what makes a team great is chemistry and how to be a good teammate. When you look at the box score post matches and you're seeing 7 kills, 8 kills, 10 kills, 11 kills by multiple people that are averaging so many contributions night in and night out. What do you take away from that when you look at those final stats? Yeah, it's so funny. I think stats can kind of be, I don't know, I'm not really a numbers person. I obviously think it's important, but for me it's kind of the way the game is played, because sometimes there's stats out there that really don't paint the full picture. And so I think you can get caught up in like, yes, we have diversity, but then how are we attacking the game, and what can we see within play that matters? And so I think there's a lot of ways to win a game, and sometimes the stats define that, but other times there's a lot of things in gray area that aren't actually detailed on that as well. So, but I think it's really cool that Bergen does a nice job of creating balance as well. So I'm going to throw another number at you then, just after you just say that, because Coach Hook was talking about this too after the game, but the side out percentage I think was like 79%. Can you take us through that and what that says and what that means and what you guys are looking for in that area? Yeah, obviously when we can side out and kill at a high percentage, you win a lot of matches. But I can tell you from my personal experience, like I probably wouldn't be the player I am. I wasn't like the highest hitting percentage outside. Like I was strategic about how I was placing points and kills, and I think that I don't know, sometimes you're out of system a lot, and like can we be strategic about where we're placing those balls? But again, if you're siding out at a high percentage, you're winning a lot of games. So kind of where do you want to put your money, but also teaching our players that there's a lot of ways to be successful as well. Got to be a balance, right, between being able to handle the out of system, but then also being efficient when you are in system. Exactly. And can we do both? But again, I think it's just more the attention to detail, like when things aren't going well, and how can we problem solve as quickly as possible. And again, stats
don't really see that to some degree. So I don't know. I probably err on the side of not so many numbers, which I don't know if is a good thing, but
yeah, no, I feel you on that. Going into year number 2 coaching here, how do you feel different? What's been different? What's felt different for you going into year 2?
Yeah, it's just great to be back. I mean, I think just the relationships that I have with the girls, and I definitely feel just more of where I can maybe give, and I'm still learning and trying to give myself grace of like what's too much, what's too little, and I'm realizing just even the stats comment, like how much is too much stats for me personally, and like how much do I get caught up in that versus just like what is my eye seeing and like what would I naturally go to as a player, and it's been fun. I enjoy going to work every day.
So you as a player didn't necessarily get locked in on those numbers as much?
No, I remember in college, like I was pretty I was like, oh my gosh, I hit this, and I remember being so mentally about the numbers that like I lost track of the ability to compete. And I think that having a general idea of what that is important, but for me personally, it took away from my ability to compete in the moment and actually being like strategic about what's actually happening in front of me, because if I get caught up in that, then I just lost all things. So even as a coach, it's like I find myself saying, like, if a player hits a ball out of bounds and it's out by a foot, it's like, man, you were at least going for it. I love that attack mentality versus, oh man, I just made 2 errors in a row and now I'm going back and being tentative. Like, I would rather err on the side of like, hey man, I erred, I went for it, and you just never know. So
yeah, fascinating. And it's also important too to remember that every player is wired differently. So
yes.
So you might not have been driven by the number. Some people might. It's just understanding probably the different preferences of players too.
Exactly, and I think that's for me too, is finding out what is too much, what is not enough. Hey, we need to aim for this, because obviously numbers do tell a story, and so like, can you, but also depict what that is. And I don't know. I just think that, I don't know. I had this one coach overseas. He's like, there's you need a key for every game has like a different key. Like, you just have to figure out how to pick the lock, basically. So like, it's, for whatever reason, that like has just resonated with me, is just like, you think that you want to have the same approach to every game, when in reality it's like a whole new set of things, which is probably pretty obvious. But for my mind, it was like, all right, well, if I'm thinking I can hit sharp here that game, I can't do it this next game. So what do I need to change? And that's very much like decision based on the moment. And if I get caught up in the numbers, I get too mental. So
that's a great perspective. I mean, and you have so much experience in that regard. How much have you enjoyed passing that knowledge along to these players?
Yeah, it's been great. And again, but I think I've erred on the side of like, how much is too much, because I was a pretty cerebral player. Like, I could take on a lot and I wanted to know why a lot. But some players just do better with less. And so again, understanding what player is that and what player needs more. And I'm still trying to figure that out, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Merritt Bisa was a big story over the past week, and she was very honest when she's meeting with the media about, I had a slow start, but sometimes you got to take a step backwards to go 2 steps forward. Yeah. What have you seen in her approach and getting going over the last week?
Yeah, it's been awesome, and I think she's obviously a very talented player, but we've all had those moments of just things are harder. It's harder to kill a ball, and she puts a lot of pressure on herself, and so I think it's allowing herself some grace and some room to fail at times. But like she said, is sometimes you have to fail to get better, and I think it shows a lot of courage for her to be able to do that and be vulnerable, and I'm sure it's only going to continue to be better. But yeah, it's a tough thing to do, and tough thing to go through as a player.
How do you go through it? How do you work through it when you are struggling a little bit? How do you continue to find ways to get it going?
Yeah, I think it's person to person. Like, what they got to figure out what works best for them. Sometimes it's watching more videos. Sometimes it's breaking down footwork. Sometimes it's, hey, I just need to step away from volleyball for a second. I need my people to just around and not think about volleyball. So I think it's a trial and error that they have to go through and trying to experiment kind of what works best, because I think everything is different based off of each player.
One of the things Coach Cook talked about too against, I think it was Arizona State, was that the back row attack wasn't good enough. So when you guys are going from match to match, and sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not, how do you evaluate, okay, we got to be better? How do you get better, I guess, when, especially in match, when it's not working the way that you want it to?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of communication with Bergen about like certain choices that are being made, obviously depending on how the block and defense is lining up as well. But sometimes in match, it's tough to like make big changes, right? It's back to the drawing board, and I'm glad we have 2 days now. We get to practice, before Wednesday, and because sometimes that's where biggest changes are made in practice, obviously. But in match, it's tough. But I think it's just evaluating those decisions, and then also, where we can continue to find edges, when we need to.
Again, that was Jordan Larson, who sat down with me for this week's episode of The Dig, powered by Emeritus, and that full episode is out now on our podcast platforms and our YouTube channel as well. Tune into the Team Jack Radiothon presented by the Home Agency on September 26th. Your donation will support research to find treatments for children battling brain cancer. Visit teamjackfoundation.org to donate. We're back to wrap up hour number 1 coming up after this.
And we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
Husker fans, visit a participating AGCO dealer now until November 1st and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets and pregame hospitality passes to the Nebraska versus Wisconsin football game on November 23rd in Lincoln. See your True Turf and Ag locations in Osmond, Columbus, and Falls City, Osceola Implement, and Kearney Equipment to enter for your chance to win this season.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest's premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. We just have a minute left here in this final segment of hour number 1, but I have tasked Camden, a.k.a. Conway, to bring us what's on tap for this week.
Here's what's on tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Nebraska Volleyball has a huge matchup with second-ranked Stanford Wednesday night at 7 at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Husker Soccer takes the pitch in East Lansing Thursday night against Michigan State. A 5 p.m. start on the Big Ten Network there. On Friday, Nebraska football hosts Illinois for a 7 p.m. kickoff. Saturday, Husker Cross Country hosts the Greeno Dirksen Invitational at Mahoney Golf Center in Lincoln. Nebraska baseball has a 16-inning scrimmage against Wichita State at Hawks Field Saturday at 1. And Husker volleyball takes on 4th-ranked Louisville this Sunday at 11:30 on ABC. That's what's on tap, Jessica.
Nicely done. Got it done in 60 seconds. That is impressive. All right. It's going to do it for hour number 1. Come on back, hour number 2.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
Live reports of polar bear on the loose. Man, is it cold enough for a polar bear in here?
Yes, we use SOS. Come on in.
SOS to the rescue! Nebraska defensive lineman Matt Rhule here. People know me as the polar bear, and when I want to stay cool, I call SOS. Their techs don't make commissions, so they give you an honest opinion, fair pricing, and longer warranties than the competition, guaranteed. Mention the polar bear and get a free 10-year labor warranty on New York equipment. The best warranty in town.
Call 402-391-2336.
IT issues wreaking havoc on your day? It's time to hire the experts. It's time to hire Hamilton. When it comes to your business, you don't have time to worry about network security, data backup, and protection, or support when devices slow down or stop working. At Hamilton, we ensure that your technology is up to speed and works as hard as you do. Don't let IT issues slow you down. You deserve better. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Husker fans, visit a participating AGCO dealer now until November 1st and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets and pregame hospitality passes to the Nebraska versus Wisconsin football game on November 23rd in Lincoln. See your True Turf and Ag locations in Osmond, Columbus, and Falls City, Osceola Implement, and Kearney Equipment to enter for your chance to win this season.
Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Nebraska football has had a fantastic start with 3 wins to open the season. This coming Friday's game against Illinois will be the first conference game of the year. Head coach Matt Rhule spoke today at a press conference discussing how he plans to direct his team going into conference play.
So, you think about it very simply. Our goal is to go 1-0 every week. Now that we're over with it, though, when you look back on it in hindsight, we went 1-0 in non-conference play, which is what we're supposed to do. Good teams do what they're supposed to do. But now we start the Big Ten, and we're trying to compete to win the Big Ten. That's why we're in it, right? So, all of these games matter. All these games are important, and so this is a great opportunity. It's our first league game, and we didn't certainly approach the preseason like the preseason. But to me, it's just, hey, now we're entering Big Ten play, so our approach doesn't change, but just the gravity of the situation is a little bit different.
We will hear more from head coach Matt Rhule later in the show. Husker Volleyball gained some more recognition of talent earlier today. Sophomore setter Bergen Riley was named the Big Ten Setter of the Week. This is the second time Riley received this award this season and the 6th time in her career so far. This past week, she averaged 12.18 assists per set, 3.45 digs per set, and helped the hitters reach a .315 team hitting percentage. Riley and the rest of the team hit the courts once again for a top 5 matchup against number 2 Stanford at 7 p.m. Wednesday at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Over the weekend, 7 Nebraska wrestlers competed at the Senior World Team Trials in Omaha, with 2 earning their spots on the world team. Alumni Jordan Burroughs and James Green won their weight classes and will represent the U.S. of A. This will be the 10th time that Burroughs will be on the world team and the 7th for Green. The World Championships will be held in Tirana, Albania on October 28th through the 31st. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide in Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
One wide out to the near side. Emmett's the back. Snap back to Riola. Looking, holding, throws over the middle, down the middle, pass caught. That's going to be a Nebraska touchdown. Isaiah Nair finds the end zone on a pass over the middle. 13-3 Big Red. Tight formation, turn. Toss it off to a little end around by Barney. Use it to 10-5. Touchdown Nebraska. Jacory Barney slips in there, taking the pitch on the end around from 10 yards out. Nebraska stretches the lead to 20-3. Motion toward the line of scrimmage. Fake the handoff, roll the pocket to the near side. Looking downfield as a man open downfield, but shoots it too high, and it's picked off. Intercepted Malcolm Hartzog. 10 up to the 14-yard line as Malcolm Hartzog now to the 19 as he goes and start the mashed potatoes dance. Huskers get a pick.
Marathon rally early in the 5th. Set behind Barrett. Oh, the dig goes sideways. Boy, Nebraska. Barrett Mason, visibly fatigued, leaps in the air, gives it her all, and the dig gets shanked to the right. It's 5-1 Big Red in the 5th.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Sports Nightly. We're going to have Damon Benning joining us here in just a few minutes. Did want to get to a couple of the texts that we had come in there in the first hour. Fred in Grand Island said, I'm concerned about parking on Friday as many businesses will be open. I assume many of the lots and garages will be full of downtown workers. Is there a plan to handle this? So, Fred, I reached out. I asked a couple of people. From what I'm told, the lots are going to be the same as a regular game day. They'll operate same as a game day after 11 a.m. And also, not sure about all of the parking garages, but most of them also will operate like a typical game day. So, but I do know all the parking lots that are around the stadium will operate as a regular game day. And then Art in Los Angeles had a funny text too. He said, hey, Jessica, do you know how to do the mashed potatoes dance? Maybe next time you see Greg, he can show you how. Had some fun with that one. David and I are going to chat about that too here coming up in just a few minutes. But I don't know. Camden asked me the story behind it, but I was trying to explain to Greg what the dance is. There's no name for it yet, no official name, but it's the takeaway dance. They have some fun when the Huskers get a takeaway. They celebrate on the sideline. it started back in fall camp, and Troy Vincent Jr., who's part of the staff, I'm told that he was kind of the ringleader of it, and then they would celebrate every time they got a takeaway, and then they decided to bring it into game day. And then Tony White said it here when he was on the show the other day about, making takeaways fun and celebrating and enjoying it, because that's one of their big goals. It's one of the pillars of this program, is to win the turnover battle. And so it was against Colorado. Greg had asked me about the dance, and I just said, it's kind of like the mashed potatoes with your arms, and then you kick back with your legs. And so then he said the mashed potatoes dance, and so that's where that came from. But that's pretty funny. We had a good time with that. I laughed out loud when I heard him say that on the air the other night, but it's fun. It's great to see those guys celebrating on the sideline and having a good time, and it's contagious. And 4 interceptions so far through the season. I know they'll look to keep building on that and keep winning the turnover battle. So that is always great to see. Speaking of our football coaches show, we did have a couple questions on the chat about what the show schedule is moving forward this week. So as Camden had at the end of hour number 1, we do have volleyball on the air on Wednesday night for against Stanford, so we will not have the show then. Tomorrow night is our football show of the week. We normally have it Wednesdays, but it moves to Tuesdays. Ed Foley will be in tomorrow, but it'll be later on, so starting about 6:30, and he'll go with us into the second hour. So we got lots there, and we'll also have press conferences from Tony White and Marcus Satterfield as well. And then so no show Wednesday, and then we'll be back on Thursday. Coach Cook will be on the air on Thursday with us in hour number 1, and then we'll have an hour of Sports Nightly. Okay, because we got to save plenty of time for DB to get everything in, we're going to go ahead and take our first break here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. DB coming up next.
It's time for another round of Nebraska Farm Facts. If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens. Farmers and ranchers raise livestock and poultry to provide nutritious, affordable protein for all ages to help build muscle and maintain energy for a healthy lifestyle. Keep that in mind as you prepare all that tasty meat on your tailgate grill. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Husker fans, visit a participating AGCO dealer now until November 1st and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets and pregame hospitality passes to the Nebraska versus Wisconsin football game on November 23rd in Lincoln. See your True Turf and Ag locations in Osmond, Columbus, and Falls City, Osceola Implement, and Kearney Equipment to enter for your chance to win this season.
Still using that old, outdated office phone system? You need better. At Hamilton, we offer solutions for the modern office. Whether you have an office full of staff or your employees work remotely and are on the go, seamless call handling is important. Elevate your communication and connect seamlessly with clients and staff with Hamilton Business Phone Systems. Choose better and hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker Football Spring Game, thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
When you switch and save with Progressive, you can use that money towards going to see your favorite team in the playoffs. Progressive cannot guarantee that you can go see your favorite team in the playoffs. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds on average, but we cannot guarantee that your favorite team will make the playoffs or even finish with a winning record. They could easily lose more than half their games and finish in the cellar because they stink badly and haven't made the playoffs in years. Savings? Very possible. Playoffs? Highly doubtful. Switch and see if you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance and Affiliates, not available in all states. We cannot be held liable for your favorite team's terrible and frankly embarrassing performances now or ever.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Woodhouse has been your premier destination for your automotive needs since 1975. Whether you're looking to purchase a new vehicle, sell your current one, or looking to service, our team ensures a convenient and seamless transaction from start to finish. Explore our wide selection of top brands and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with our team's dedication and decades of trusted service. Get started online at woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Live reports of polar bear on the loose. Man, is it cold enough for a polar bear in here?
Yes, we use SOS. Come on in.
SOS to the rescue! Nebraska defensive lineman Matt Rhule here. People know me as the polar bear, and when I want to stay cool, I call SOS. Their techs don't make commissions, so they give you an honest opinion, fair pricing, and longer warranties than the competition, guaranteed. Mention the polar bear and get a free 10-year labor warranty on new York equipment. The best warranty you have.
Call 402-391-2336.
Life doesn't come with guarantees, but working with Rob Seco comes pretty close. Our strategic investments in the seed we offer are designed to directly improve your bottom line. From full trait platforms, breeding and development, to field-by-field planning and seed-driven crop inputs, with Rob Seco, you have precisely what you need to improve plant performance and increase yield. Every farm, every crop, and every acre. Learn more at robseco.com.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
In today's digital landscape, the security of your business is non-negotiable. That's why you need better cybersecurity solutions. At Hamilton, we make it our business to protect your network, data, and digital assets with the latest in cybersecurity technology. Our dedicated team of experts has the technology in place to protect what matters most to you and your business. Stay ahead of cyber threats with better cybersecurity protection. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. As we welcome you back to Sports Nightly, I'm Jessica Coody. Greg Sharpe has the night off tonight, so we're bringing in some help to help us out here on the show tonight. And so DB, Damon Benning, analyst for us on the football broadcast, kind enough to spend some time with us. DB, how was the weekend after another late night on Saturday?
Yeah, it was crazy. It went fast. Didn't get home until probably 1 on Saturday, and I had to turn around and be back at the high school on Sunday by 7 a.m. just because we're short today. With Nebraska playing Illinois on Friday. Our game got moved to Thursday. So we wanted to use Sunday as a practice day and still give the kids the weekend off. So we went super early as a staff, but after that, yesterday afternoon, not too bad. It was pretty quiet, actually. I'm happy about that.
So do you have an off day during the week during football season?
I don't, but that's okay. I make up for it in February through, June.
Yeah.
And it slows down a little bit, but hopefully our Decembers will be busy from here on out too. So I've got my fingers crossed for that one.
Listen, I told my parents last year it'd be the last time I was going to be back for Christmas.
I like how you called your shot. I'm kind of with you. We got a little work left to do, but, man, I like the way you're thinking. Kind of like Coach Rhule, confident.
Okay, so I asked Coach Rhule this earlier on the TV show, but for you, when you go back and revisit the game, the win, to go 3-0, what were your biggest positives from the win?
I like the fact that they got a chance to run the football in the second half. I think it went a lot according to he has a little bit of this pro mentality where he's not afraid to not milk a lead, but learn how to play with a lead. And I didn't really love the running game in the first half just because it wasn't easy to throw the ball, but they were very efficient offensively, especially after you and I took 10 minutes, 10-22 out of that first quarter. Nebraska didn't have the ball a ton. So I was pleasantly surprised with they can run the ball with whomever they want to. And I think that depth will serve them well, at least up to this point, especially without a starter up front. So I like that. I like the fact that, you got a chance to trot your field goal unit out there a couple of times. And I get it. People will say, well, it was just chip shots and this, that, and the other. But, they would feel much they would feel much differently if they were missed. Yeah. Right. So I don't think you get to go both ways with it. And I do like the fact that the defense bowed their necks and kind of adjusted in the second half. After the first drive and a half, I felt like Nebraska figured out how they wanted to play defensively, and that the standard was the standard when the second unit came in. So I'm encouraged by their continuing to be able to develop depth.
I love what Coach Rhule said about, at halftime, the defense, they weren't happy. And, they'd only given up a field goal, but he said it was a good thing that, hey, we have a certain standard, and it's not even just like, hey, we're winning, but we're not playing how we should be playing. When you talk about, he had said this too to me at half during the interview about we're not tackling as good as we need to. So this is a good tackling team. What goes in, why is there certain times where teams that are good tackling teams have bad tackling halves or moments, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with Northern Iowa, right? There's 490 pounds of running back between Dye and Pesic Hickson, and I think that went into it a little bit, a little bigger, stronger backs. And I like Northern Iowa's scheme. It was predicated to get a free, a back for the down to running lane, which is how they like to run the football on Nebraska's free defenders. And so it really forced Nebraska schematically to get an extra guy into the box and handle some powerful runners. I think, conversely, if I was the running back, Jess, I'd be mad if one guy got me to the ground. So that's just kind of how I look at it. They've got good players too, and I think Nebraska adjusted, learned to take a little bit better angles, and really put some lead in their shorts with a couple of really big backs.
How many guys did it take you to get down to the ground, DB?
Well, when I was on my game, it was more than one, and it certainly wasn't in the open field. So that's the offensive guy in me. But I get it. I think Edwards went 240, and Pesic went about 247. So those aren't small guys, and I think Nebraska had to adjust accordingly.
Coach Rhule had said going into this game, they decided to have Emmett Johnson be the third down back, and we saw some really good things from him, both in the run game and the passing game. They were throwing him the ball, too. But how do you feel like they're going about, Coach Satterfield, AJ, Coach Rhule, about how they're approaching each game with the different running backs? How are they figuring out which guy is good for each game?
I know it'd be hard to prepare for, that's for sure. We didn't see Ramirez until the second half. We didn't see Emmett much at all last week. So if I'm a guy watching film and I'm trying to prepare for Nebraska's ground game, it's been hard so far. There hasn't been a lot of, at least if I was an opponent, method to the madness. I know how I think Nebraska wants to play it, right? They're playing for the long haul and to play more than 12 games. And they want to keep everybody fresh. But the cool thing about it is two things, Jess. Number one, you got to have really good leadership in that room to understand some games it just may not be your night, and you need to be ready and plan accordingly. And then the other thing is you don't get that without good communication and coaches letting you know kind of how they see things shaking out. So whatever happens in that room going forward, you get that the level of trust is pretty high, and so is the level of communication. You got good character guys in that room because obviously they can respond, taking a game off or a half off, and they seem to still be able to function at a high level.
You were geeking out on that run from Emmett in the second half.
Yeah, he's just so clever. He's got really good footwork. He's patient, got all the way backside, and I like that's a front side run and just good footwork. He kind of makes the little skip step pretty easy, and then he found the gear once he got into the open field. And you're right, I found myself kind of talking, and I try not to do that a lot during the actual play sequence, but in my head I'm like, he's just something else, because he saw what's pretty easy for me to see upstairs, but I'm upstairs so I can see how the pieces are moving. He's a gifted runner, and a lot of times the first guy doesn't get him, which a lot of those backs seem to have in common now.
I did want to go back and talk about, the special teams and especially the field goal unit, because you do know Tristan Alvano so well, and there have been some issues there. They changed the snapper this past week. They go 2 for 2 though. But I guess what's your take on Tristan and his confidence level? Is there any concern at all for you with Tristan? I know you're a big fan of his.
Yeah, I think the more continuity they develop between snapping, holding, and him being healthy as a kicker, the better he's going to be. And I think they're just getting started with that. I think they like a little bit of the continuity that they're having so far with a short holder and long holder. And now that I think Tristan is starting to feel better, the continuity can start to happen. He just has to continue to work throughout the week to make sure that he's progressing accordingly and to not overkick. I think they'll get the snapping situation figured out. They're willing to do what it takes in order for that to happen. And so for him, he's just got to relax, JC. He's so hard on himself sometimes, and he spends a lot of time with just such a small group. I think for him, it's important to remember that he's still playing a kid's game, and he's actually pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy that you know really well, Jalen Lloyd, and think the world of him. He thinks the world of you. He has the big catch play in the first half that sets up for a touchdown, and then the jump ball ends up being an interception that really could have gone either way. I was watching him on the sideline, and you can tell another guy that's really hard on himself. Thought he should have made that play, I think. But, I guess from your perspective there, that just was a heck of a play by the DB, right?
Yeah, and it was such an interesting angle where the back judge came in to rule it. The roll went his direction towards him, so the momentum of the simultaneous catch kind of made it advantageous for the defensive back because he hit the ground and rolled last, which meant that he got kind of the last little oomph, from the gravity tug. So I did think he made a heck of a play. You don't usually see that call go the defensive back's way, but, I've watched it a couple of times, and I could see clearly, especially from the back judge's angle where they came in to mark that, where he probably thought it wasn't as much a simultaneous catch as on the way to the ground the defensive back had control. And that's one that I think Jalen would love to go back and get. But it's also one I think Dylan Raiola would love to go back and get because it was underthrown a little bit too. So, everybody's got to do their part. I don't think you want to make a living throwing 50-50 balls to Jalen Lloyd over the middle. Just the same as, Lloyd doesn't want to let his quarterback down when there is a 50-50 ball over the middle.
His statistics are staggering of the catches that he's made. We know he's fast. But is there more to it than him just outrunning guys, or is that basically it?
So I do like the fact, that's a great question, because I do think what he's starting to understand is where holes are. The scramble play that he caught down the sidelines, he settled down. He knew when his quarterback was scrambling, there was a soft spot there. And Dylan's got to go from the far hash to the top of the numbers across the field. So, and even tracking the ball last week on a ball that was a little underthrown, he's learning the nuances and to understand the flights of balls because it's not easy. He's not a natural pass catcher. He played a lot of different positions in youth sports and didn't really start to come into his own as a receiver until his senior year of high school. And so he's still learning, the route running, the little intricacies. But before it's all said and done, they'll be much more than just being a fast guy.
DB, I've been impressed with the play calling on the offensive side of the ball and the wrinkles that we've seen just with each week. I mean, we saw Heinrich Harper come in there and make a big catch. Then he takes a handoff. The distribution of the ball to the different targets. Carter Nelson gets in on the action. I guess, what could you say about Marcus Satterfield and the job that he's done being able to utilize up until this point all the different playmakers that he has at his disposal?
Yeah, I think it's impressive. I think it's pretty understated too. So he's just playing the guy's strengths. They understand what players do well, and I think he acts accordingly, right? I mean, Ja'Cory Barney doesn't operate under a vacuum on those little reverses or, that run after the catch, right? They're put in positions to play to their strengths. And so I think there's really good understanding of your personnel and what you're dealing with. And then also the sequential building. There's so many things that they have on film right now that they can have packages for. Okay, well, they've seen this week. Let's build off of this and do the next thing. I really, really think that there's something to that. And you're right. I think it's kind of flying under the radar in terms of their level of creativity.
How hard is that as a defense, as an opposing defense? Because, if you look at Colorado, right, they have their weapons. We know we have to match up well against these guys. Some of the explosive offenses that have certain guys that, hey, the ball is going there. But with Nebraska, it's kind of hard to even game plan for, I feel like, at this point, because we've seen multiple different guys get involved in the 3 different games.
Yeah, complete agreement. And you had 7, just the receivers, not even counting running backs and tight ends. You had 7 receivers that caught balls this past weekend. So it's hard to be able to want to take away a guy. You've had multiple leading rushers. Your yards per carry guy on the ground isn't even your leading ball carrier. And you've seen a couple of different quarterbacks with a couple of different quarterback packages. So for me, as a guy that's makes a living trying to put together defense, this would be a very difficult team to game plan for. You'd have to kind of narrow it down to concepts more than you do specific players. But I do know one thing. With the evolution in the play of this quarterback and Dylan Raiola, you better start to figure out a way to neutralize him, because he seems to be in pretty good control right now.
What's impressed you the most about him so far throughout these 3 games?
Well, he's a fantastic teammate, and I don't ever want to undersell that, because he's been in the limelight a long time. He's got a famous last name. He's been around pros. Probably don't fly economy too much, growing up. And so it would be easy to not develop the social skills and the leadership capacities that he has. So I think that's not only a testament to him, but how he was raised as well. He's extremely well liked. He's grounded. He's humble. And sometimes that's not always easy when you've been exposed to the things that he has at such a young age. And you can tell he doesn't take the game and his teammates for granted. So that's number one. It is extremely impressive. And then number 2, he's for his age, I mean, that blood pressure's got to be pretty steady. He looks about like a 98 over, 70 kind of guy. And not sure what it takes to get it much off of that, but it certainly isn't what's going on in the football game. He is steady Eddie, and that's been pretty cool to watch unfold.
All right, we got to work at a break here on Sports Nightly Hour number 2. DB's going to stick around with us for another segment. We've got a really, really hot topic that we've got to get into with Damon coming up after this break, so you'll want to stick around for that. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska honors Nebraska's outstanding teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator at huskers.com/touchdown for teachers. More with DB coming up after this.
For generations, hardworking people have relied on Ford F-Series trucks, making them America's best-selling trucks 47 years straight. Introducing the new 2024 Ford F-150 and Ford Super Duty, the 2024 North American Truck of the Year. This is the next generation of Built Ford Tough.
Now get 1.9% financing for 36 months on a brand new 2024 F-150 or Super Duty only at your Midwest Ford dealers.
It's time again for some Nebraska Farm Facts. For Nebraska soybean farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices. And they have significant sustainability goals by 2025. 10% more energy efficiency, 10% less land, and 25% less soil erosion. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Set. Hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
You may have heard about Monolith, how right here in Nebraska, we're producing low-emission carbon black for tires across North America. How we'll soon be providing farmers with locally made fertilizer to reduce our reliance on foreign imports. How we're investing hundreds of millions in multiple Nebraska facilities. You might have heard Monolith is changing the world. We're not. You are. Along with many other Nebraskans in high-paying jobs that support families and communities. Monolith, Nebraska made.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard, until the other team scores. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
I have reports of polar bear on the loose. Ma'am, is it cold enough for a polar bear in here?
Yes, we use SOS. Come on in.
SOS to the rescue! Nebraska defensive lineman Matt Rhule here. People know me as the polar bear, and when I want to stay cool, I call SOS. Their techs don't make commissions, so they give you an honest opinion, fair pricing, and longer warranties than the competition, guaranteed. Mention the polar bear and get a free 10-year labor warranty on New York equipment. The best warranty you have.
Call 402-391-2336.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro.
Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir. Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Tune in to the Team Jack Radiothon presented by the Home Agency on September 26. Your donation will support research to find treatments for children battling brain cancer. Visit teamjackfoundation.org to donate. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. We've got Damon Benning joining us here on the show tonight. DB, we were talking, Josh and I, we cannot believe, this was brought up during the broadcast, that you have not seen Field of Dreams. So before we talk any more football or preview Illinois, anything, we have to address this situation because you are a baseball guy and you have not seen one of the greatest baseball movies of all time.
I know. And I tell you, so full disclosure, when I didn't really get into baseball movies until it was post-college for sure. And then as a young adult, I didn't really love sports movies. It sounds weird. I just didn't think that they were really done right. And then by the time I kind of got back around to it, which would have been about 10, 15 years ago. So my dad was diagnosed with, he had a deal called aphasia. And he was diagnosed in 2011 going into 12. And I ended up losing him about 2017. And so what everybody told me whenever that movie would come up was, wow, the relationship between a father and son, it's just really special. And, you know, baseball is arguably my favorite sport. So then I was just a little gun shy. I didn't want to be reminded
I can see that.
Of that whole kind of relationship. So by the time I really was cognizant of just how good it was, I wasn't interested in seeing that dynamic in a movie. So I know you should have seen my X or social media, like my direct messages and texts, like people were just beside themselves. I knew I was not going to be able to live that one down, but a guy that has made his fair share of bad decisions over 50 years, clearly not saying the Field of Dreams is in the top 5.
I can understand you will absolutely get emotional for that movie, absolutely, given that backstory. So I understand a little bit. So then what is the number one sports movie for you then?
I like a couple. So like if you go baseball, you're going to laugh, but because it's cheesy, I could hear you saying it now, but I like For the Love of the Game. I like The Natural. For basketball, I like it's a movie called Love and Basketball.
I know that movie. Great movie.
I like Coach Carter.
I like Coach Carter.
I like Hoosiers.
Big fan of Hoosiers.
For football, it's tough. I like Friday Night Lights. Big Any Given Sunday guy. I like Varsity Blues. But I'm not, it's kind of like those movies, none of them are in, except for Love and Basketball. And that's only because at the end there was this whole double or nothing thing. And I'm a big Sinai Lathan fan. I like, The Program. Don't let me forget about The Program. I like Latimer and Joe Kane. But I'm not a huge, I love sports movies if they're supposed to really be about sports.
I see. I got you. I just asked you to list
I'm
one,
not
and
cool.
you go down a list of like 15, but that's all right. That's all right.
I just divvy it up to sports, Big Vision Quest guy.
Also, I lost it on Saturday when, after the Malcolm Hartzog interception, Greg said, start the mashed potatoes dance.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to call it, but I think
it doesn't have a name. You guys got to name it. You guys need to name
he's
it.
Going by what you referenced last week about him kind of being outdated, and the closest thing that he knew of to that dance, which was the mashed potatoes. So when he said it, and I can hear you laughing, which is it's one of the funniest. That's like the greatest thing about our broadcasts is how the stuff that happens behind the scenes, because we do get along, that just to hear you kind of chuckle and to hear him kind of poke fun at himself and then just kind of move on seamlessly as though he didn't say it was probably one of the best parts of the night.
I know, but then he goes back and doubles down on it, said that he did some research and that it's actually its origin was way before he was born. So he was ready to come back at me.
Oh yeah, that I forgot just how funny that was.
It is. It's a good time. It's fun, and it's also fun. You know, we always have fun, but it makes it even more fun when this team is winning. Also,
it is, and now we're really playing to your strengths, because I always joke with people. I said one of the things that makes the broadcast so smooth is you're always in tune with what we're saying, and like you go figure stuff out. And so sometimes you're close enough where I can get ideas about what I want to talk about. And then when we throw it to you, it just further strengthens the broadcast. And I think the coaches are a lot more vulnerable, isn't the word, but they're a lot more patient with you kind of being around when things are going well, right? Nobody ever wants to let you see how the sausage is made when everybody's stressed and it's total chaos down there. But it has been very well oiled, and I like the fact that we're actually getting a chance to watch a couple of W's, and they just don't ever appear to be satisfied. This isn't about just making it to a bowl game. I mean, they're thinking big picture. How good can we be? We're becoming our own benchmark kind of thought process, and that is fun. That's really fun.
I will say this, it has been fascinating, absolutely fascinating to watch the coaching on the sideline this season with the implementation of the iPads and how quickly they can address and just, how much they are able to go back to it and just dissect things. And it's less, about a lot of times you'd see the communication from the coaching staff. What do we want to say here? But it's, hey, it's right here. We can dive right into it. And, it's also not as much as you could say, oh, we'll just turn on the iPads, whatever. I was talking to Susan Elza about this, and she said that it's been pretty seamless too, which technology, you never know. But the fact that they can utilize that and that it has been so seamless, I think has really helped, despite not hearing as much coach speak, I guess, on the sideline.
Yeah, beautiful point. We try to use iPads, and a lot of times we're at the mercy of whether it's the Wi-Fi or how many people are on the system or whatever. So for Nebraska, you're right. It's not as simple as it seems. But the thing that I maybe like the most is it's playing to Nebraska's strengths, JC, because I think they're such a smart staff and they're really good teachers. So when you can add the know-how with the actual visual and then figure out how to limit the information, I think that's why they've been part of the reason, I should say, not the reason, part of the reason that they've been so good with making adjustments on the fly is got a lot of smart minds that know their roles on that sidelines with those iPads.
It's also interesting, too, to see how the different players are. The coaches might get the players all together and then they break down a plays. But then there are certain players that want to see it more, that will spend a lot more time, going over it. And so it's just, everybody's different and learns things differently and sees things differently. And so, it's just been crazy, too, just to see the different approaches of players and how they utilize it and what they want to see on the sideline as well.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, right? Some guys can overanalyze. Some guys just need quick notes. I do think that that's interesting because, sometimes it can be paralysis by analysis too. And so learning how to use the information that you're given versus leaning on it because you're given to it is a very, very fine line.
So you had mentioned earlier too, it talked a little bit, I wanted to circle back to this, and Coach Rhule also has mentioned this multiple times, so just being a team that figures out how to win, and you're now ranked, and you go from being the hunter to being the hunted, and learning how to manage that. What is that process like when you become that team? You are always on a team, and a lot of these players here at Nebraska were on teams that were always the hunted. But how does that switch flip? I always struggle with that. But how does that switch flip when you go from being the hunter to the hunted?
So it's interesting because it's not really about your opponent anymore. It's about when that starts to transition. It's more about what do you do well, and are you being the best versions of yourself? I know people say that in the beginning, but a lot of times, and you can't be anything more than what you are. So hear me out here. I think when you start to get the bullseye, and they start and teams start to associate a number next to your name with rankings and say, oh, this is Nebraska, or we're coming to Nebraska, this is now becoming a tough place to be, and you know you're going to get their best effort, it becomes that much more important that you are the best version of yourself. So it's about mastering the little things. So when opportunity presents itself, you can fall back on your training without having to do a lot of thinking. Like, is there more in me? Can I do better than this? What is my 111? It's not so much about, oh man, here we go, we're playing SC on the road, or we're at Columbus, or, what are we going to do in Iowa City in a couple hours at 6:30, right? It's not about that. It's more about, okay, we know that we're going to get their best. Where are we, physically, mentally, and emotionally? And I think once you can flip that switch and understanding that it's about you without it really being about you, that's when the real magic can happen.
Great stuff. So quick analysis, I guess we'll have plenty of time to dive into Illinois, and you and Benny Mack will have that covered on the pregame show. But just, I guess quickly off the cuff, I guess, as you dive into this thing, I know you'll really study it more and more, but Coach Rhule had said they're basically kind of like a mirror image of us statistically when you dive into the stats. Where are they most alike? Where are these two teams most alike, where it might be the immovable force hits the what is it? The inevitable object?
Irresistible force against the immovable object.
Yeah, exactly. There it is.
So there's two. So I think it's interesting because Illinois is surprisingly explosive outside the numbers. Two really good explosive receivers, and Nebraska has been able to generate some chunk plays in the passing game of their own. So I think that there are some similarities there. The other thing is Illinois does a good job of matching up their defensive personnel with what you want to do offensively. Very well coached on that side of the ball, and they do a good job of creating matchups. They've taken the ball away a little bit, which Nebraska has too. So I think the dynamics of seeing a little bit of the quarterback run game, which they saw against Northern Iowa, will help them this week with Illinois, but so are the power ground game too, because Nebraska did get a taste of that against Northern Iowa. But and much like Nebraska, Illinois will run the football with power run game and take their shots outside the numbers.
First ranked matchup between two opponents since 2013. Also the 400 sellout. Weren't you a part of the 200 sellout?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last year.
That sounds about right. I'm old, so I might be part of a lot of things that I can either no longer remember or it's sketchy at best.
You'll be in I guess fine form because you're used to these Friday nights under the lights.
Yeah, you're the one that's got to watch out because game nights on Fridays, man, I kind of flipped the switch, so hopefully I can calm it down.
It'll be crazy. We also need you to bring more high chews because Kelly Hunter and John Baylor cleaned out the high chew stash last week.
Big game Hunter got you, huh?
Yeah, they're gone. No more. So we need you to replenish the stash before game day.
Okay, so I have some options. I talked about the sour 2 flavors. You got the sour base flavor. I have the sherbet sorbet. I
like those. I'm a big fan of those.
Okay, all right. I know you told me at one point those were your favorite, but there's so many more flavors now.
There's a lot. I like it, though.
Oh, and I have a tropical here, too. So I'll just bring them. I'll let you sort through them.
Yeah.
We still have to travel, too. It's a long season.
Yes. You better just keep replenishing, especially if the volleyball coaches show is going to keep draining us. So you're just going to have to every week be ready to replenish. David Benning, thanks so much for your time.
You keep giving me good tidbits on the sidelines where I can sound smart, and I'll keep bringing you high cheese.
I love it. DB, thanks.
Appreciate you.
And Damon Benning joining us here on Sports Nightly. Public power is uniquely Nebraskan. We are the only state served entirely by public power utilities. We work for you, providing reliable, affordable electricity to power your lives. Public power, powering our state, empowering Husker Nation. Back to wrap up the show coming up after this.
Triple B Feed has the products to help your cows thrive. Whether it's weekly delivery of consumption-controlled Lumix liquid mineral with protein or Sweet Pro block supplements for space feeding, while also stretching your forages up to 25% better, Triple B has you covered. Let Brian and Brad Blauhorn take some of the stress out of your beef production this year. For more information and other products, visit triplebfeed.com. Triple B Feed, helping you and your cattle.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker Football Spring Game, thanks to their biggest fans at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska. Head to huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Sports Nightly is brought to you by Choices Treatment Center. If you or someone you know is struggling with problem gambling, free treatment is available in Nebraska. Call Choices 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300 for more information. Offices in Lincoln and Columbus. Well, I went way long with DB, so it only leaves us about a minute here to get to our weekend winners. I forgot. Mondays are winners, weekend winners. So yeah, we got to roll through this quick. Camden/Conway, you're up first.
I'm going to go with Cam Taylor-Britt.
Nice.
And his nice interception yesterday off Patrick Mahomes. Kind of Odell'd it with the one hand. And former Husker had a nice pick that had the NFL world talking.
Unfortunately, team didn't pull it out, but that's all right. He did. It was like a top 10. I think NFL tweeted like top 10 interception of all time. David?
I got to go with Chris Boswell for the Steelers. He's been kicking so many field goals. The Steelers have scored one touchdown in 2 games, but have won both, which I think is crazy.
You got him on your fantasy team or something?
I should.
Our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs solutions for every field. I only have 10 seconds. But I'll just give it up to Husker football, 3-0, first time since 2016. We'll be back tomorrow with Coach's Show and Sports Nightly. Tune in then.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, visit a participating AGCO dealer now until November 1st and enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets and pregame hospitality passes to the Nebraska versus Wisconsin football game on November 23rd in Lincoln. See your True Turf and Ag locations in Osmond, Columbus, and Falls City, Osceola Implement, and Kearney Equipment to enter for your chance to win this season.
It's time for some Nebraska farm facts. Want to know a fast way to rev up our Nebraska economy while helping the planet? It's right in your tank. When you fill up with clean soy-based biodiesel, you're increasing Nebraska biodiesel production while reducing greenhouse gases by up to 74%. So look for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, our economy, and our farmers. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
For almost 50 years, Sid Dillon Buick GMC Cadillac in Fremont has been more than just a dealership. We're a family dedicated to serving yours. Shop Nebraska's #1 volume Buick GMC dealer for the new car, truck, or SUV to fit your needs. We're also your GMC Business Elite dealer for commercial vehicles. Visit us at SidDillonBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Sid Dillon.
Here in Nebraska, we love our teachers. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is teaming up with Husker Athletics to recognize teachers who help students live their best and healthiest lives. Visit Huskers.com/touchdown for teachers today to tell us about your favorite Nebraska educator. Winning teachers get a school day visit from Herbie Husker and a VIP experience at the 2025 Husker football spring game. Thanks to their big